I like that record. I want this song. I don't want that song. That's a white guy who's making that decision. I like the song with the obscenity. I don't like the song with the politics. So we're going to have this one on the CD and not that one. You understand? Or you want to continue to work for us? So that's the story of hip-hop, according to Patricia Rose. It is the corporate sale of racism. So, for example, Edgar Bronfman, who is the CEO under whom Liar Cohen works, who deals with Jay-Z, Edgar Bronfman is worth between $2.5 billion to $4 billion, depending on the year. So these are white people who control this industry, and we don't know much about any of them. Okay? They're marketing racist images of black people, especially.
Hey, Shalom, call Lord YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. That's giving all praise to the Most High, in the name of His only begotten Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to our teachers, the elders and apostles, the great millstone who taught us His truth and sincerity. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. Shalom to 944,000. As you see in this video, this is the rapper Bobby Shmurda. Okay, complete nincompoop, a monkey. Okay, I hate to say it like that, but the way he was jumping all over the table and stuff, and this is what it's like when you want to get a record deal. Okay, you gotta, be the best nigga you can be. Okay, but it says white people make decisions to approve black entertainers used to push negative stereotypes of black people, which we're not black. Okay, we are the Israelites, but these devils that you see around this table, even the Sambo Jakes too, they know who we are. Okay, they know that we are God's chosen people, and they sold out to Satan. All right, they worship Satan. So in order to keep our people lost and dead in its dead estate, these dry bones, this is what they push. Okay, back in the day you had conscious rap. Now you got rap about killing and stealing and robbing and drugs and adultery and everything else. And real quick, it was a post that came out a couple weeks ago about Sexy Red being a CIA agent. Okay, she was, and it was it was from a spoof account. It was supposed to be like a joke, but really it's not a joke. Okay, and sometimes with one thing about comedy is when you have comedy, they tell you a lot of the truth. Okay, so these people are really agents of chaos that they sign, and you don't get be on the radio and have all these major record labels calling you if you're not pushing their agenda. Okay, and their agenda is to destroy our people. Okay, that's their agenda, to destroy our people. So as they're destroying our people, they'll sign little monkeys like this right here to push a demonic message, okay, to our people. And you heard the individual at the end, he told you how they do this to give those stereotypes, and also it was back in the day when they came up with the private prison system. You had these Edomites. They pulled a bunch of these rappers into a meeting where they told them what they wanted to rap about, certain things that was going to promote more violence and get Jake locked up so they can fund their prison system. All right, so this is the wickedness that goes on. And like I said in my other video, you got to be mindful of the different music you listening to and the movies you watching, because there's vibrations on that stuff. Okay. Somebody said, absolutely, the dumber the music, the more the industry will push them. Y'all think these artists want to make the same stupid shit over and over, but they literally forced to, and when they don't comply, they blackballed or worse. Right? It says selling your self-destruction through drugs, weapons, and entertainment. Positive hip-hop almost all but disappeared on the airwaves by the early 2000s. It says this is why the lyricists are gone. They showed this example on the show Atlanta. Paperboy was not going for it. This is sickening. I can't even stomach. I can't even stomach listening to him. You know what's crazy too is, you know, they got the small hats right here. But these small hats, you know, they own the music industry. Okay. They also own the corn industry. And I'm not talking about the food. All right. So the, the wicked the Bible speaks of. It says, just like the old days, except this time we get paid a little credit. IRS debt upon retirement. What? Um, Somebody said two things Negroes are good for is entertainment and exploitation. Little black Sambos, I just said that. Little Sambo nigga. It says, somebody said all Jews watching him. Industry plant jester, no less, for a check. Get out of line. Here comes the frivolous lawsuits. Yeah, because that's what they do. You try to speak up or, you know, go against, you know, what they hired you for. They'll put a bullshit lawsuit on you. You know, make some false allegations about you. So it's a trap. And I knew that when I was making music. And I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? When I made music, I felt that vibration where it had to get more demonic. I had to be more about, you know, wickedness. Okay, pretty much promoting sin, and that's what got attention. You know, it says can't pay back the advance due to low sales. They rock a buy you and cash in the life insurance policy they have on you. And that's another thing. They put you know, life insurance policies on these individuals. So when they done promoting the wickedness, they get killed and they cash out on them. Okay, somebody said monkey on the table. Yep, you know that's what it looked like. I said that before I even read this. That's the spirit. Why aren't their black labels pushing back? Where is the community unity? There is no black labels. Okay, the so-called Jewish people own everything. Another form of being a slave, a high-paid slave. I would say. But she said another form of being a slave, but people want to be famous so bad, not realizing you're being sold and displayed and set to entertain your what? Your God-given gifts for sale to these people. Shaking my head. Right. And this is why we don't make no fucking music no more, bro. Okay, we ain't making no music. We ain't coming into this truth to make Israelite music. No, we come in this truth to preach the gospel and sing a new song. Okay, not this garbage that they're giving us. Okay, in the kingdom of heaven, we're gonna make righteous music. But right now, only thing that's being promoted is wicked music. All right, so let's just grab a few precepts, getting right to the point. It says, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 5. It says, it is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Right, so it's better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Okay, so and that's all that's on the radio. Garbage. Okay, garbage. Music low. It says, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 4. It says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Right, the music is trash right now. Okay, and that shows you the times that we are in. Okay, and that's because the wicked is in power. All right, let me grab that too. What's that? Job 9:24. It says, Job chapter 9 verse 24. It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And you saw the people who had the power to approve what got on the airwaves. Okay, that's the wicked. It says he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right. So and that's why they put guys like Diddy, Jay-Z, you know, these, Diddy, Jay-Z, whoever the hell else. But they put these so-called black faces at the head of these labels, but really behind them is Edomites. Okay, Jay-Z don't own his own record label. Okay, he's the face of a record label that's owned by Edomites. All right, and then when you go into it, all these companies just go into like three or four major labels. Okay, furthermore owned by Edomites. It says Psalm chapter 83, verse 1. It says a psalm or of Asaph, It says, keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. You see? They've taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Yeah, this is all according to their plan. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Because they know if they keep us lost and destroyed, they can continue to be in power. So that's why it's big money to keep Jake lost. They'll pay a athlete $100 million just to keep your ass distracted. They'll pay a rapper $50 million just to keep pushing garbage in your ears. Okay? For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. And first up, the tabernacles of Edom, the so-called white man, the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, of Moab, right, the Chinese, okay, and so on. It says, and Amalek, which is the Jewish. Okay, so all these nations, they all have had a part in our slavery. Let me grab that too. Part in her spoils. And they get rich off of us. Okay. It says Maccabees, first Maccabees chapter 2, verse 10. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? Right. They cashing out on Jake. Let's go back and read this back in the NLT. This is Psalm chapter 83, verse 1 in the NLT. O power, do not be silent. Do not be deaf. Do not be quiet, O power. Don't you hear the uproar of your enemies? Don't you see that your arrogant enemies are rising up? They devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. Yeah, they're conspiring against us. Okay? They devise crafty schemes. Yeah. With the music. And they know how Jake loved music. Hey, in the spiritual, because when I go back to this post right here, oh man, I lost it. It's in my thing. What is this? Man, post-cruel video of possibly cremating himself. I don't know what that's going on, but when you go back to this video, Lord one is still there. Let me see. Bear me 1 second. And I seen it, but I didn't really see it, but I seen it. Let's go back. This is Instagram. Let me see right here. All right, hold on. Okay, so right here where you see the likes at, it was 808. All right, now it's 810 in that little time, but it was 808, and they have these these 808 drums in the music, which is a very demonic vibration. Okay, so you even down to the beat, the producers, they're pushing a very demonic vibration. This is all part of that their crafty schemes, okay, against your people and conspire against your hidden ones. It's like against your precious ones, precious. So we are the precious ones. It says, "Come," they say, "let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence." And that's what they've done. Okay. Now Jake think they black, think they, thugs and this, that, and the third. It says, yes, this was their unanimous decision. They signed a treaty as allies against you. They signed a treaty. They made agreements against us, man. They don't agree. If they don't agree on nothing else, they agree on keeping us lost, keeping us at the bottom, keeping us down. Okay? That's something that they do agree on. So in these last days, YAHAWASHI is showing that he's exposing these devils. Okay? All that they do is being found out. Let's go over here. This is the book of Judith, chapter 5, verse 20. It says, "Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them." So if we're in error and sinning against our God, this is, it gives these nations a power to overcome us, because the Most High is not going to defend us if we're going off. Okay? Verse 21, it says, "But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them and their power before them, and we become a reproach before all the world." So this is why they push this stuff, because they want to keep you offending Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. Okay? They want to keep you at enmity with your power, so they can continue to, destroy us. Esau, he studies us. He knows. He knows that if these niggas stay niggas, then we can stay rulers forever. All right, and that's why they push this stuff. This is why this stuff is all over. You can't get away from it. It's everywhere. And we listen to some of this music to a certain degree, but we understand that you don't want to get too caught up in it. Let me read this caption. It says, "Black ignorance is a billion-dollar industry," which we're not black, we're Israelites. But it says, "Black ignorance is a billion-dollar industry. White social and economic structure benefits greatly on how we view ourselves and how the world views us. It is imperative that black people think low of themselves and act like children for them to remain in power." Didn't I just say that? When black people start prioritizing intellectual conversation, philosophy, knowledge, and being economically powerful, it is a threat. It's supposed to say it's not a treat. It's supposed to say a threat. It is a threat to their power. So they choose these entertainers to keep us distracted and remain in a mental state of destruction. You're right. I just said that, and that's what that precept said. If there be any error in his people, and they sin against their God, they can overcome us. But as we come back to YAHAWASHI in truth and in sincerity, these devils have no power over us anymore. And that's what time we in, coming back to YAHAWASHI. Okay, truly. All right, coming back to YAHAWASHI. It says, somebody said, "I remember watching MTV special featuring DMX back in 2006 or so. On my way, exec was looking for a grungy hardcore rappers, and out of the many who auditioned for the label back then, DMX was selected as the money maker for the company at the time frame, right? So they put these individuals in power and put them in these positions so that they can push that vibration, because Jake, they'll try to emulate. So like they'll try to emulate these individuals, and instead of you getting a record deal, your ass getting a life sentence, or you getting or you getting sent to the graveyard. And the truth is, these individuals that's making this music, about doing all the drugs and doing all this and the third and killing and still, them niggas not really living like that. They're not really living like that. They just rapping about it to make you live like that, so you can continue to fund this man's kingdom. Okay, whether it be in the private prison system, or whether it be you in the going to the graveyards. Funerals are expensive. Okay, funerals are expensive, and private prisons make a lot of money. Then they have your ass out there, picking cotton or doing landscaping in the hot sun for a penny an hour. That's slavery. They're putting you back in slavery. Okay. Some of us have gotten hip to how this man worked, and we done figured this devil out, and that's why we going the opposite way. Had a guy come up to the camp last what was it, the other day, and we dealt with Jake a few times now, because he be out there doing his little workout or whatever. But his mind state, he's an older Jake, probably not too much older than myself, but his mind state is through. He's talking about going and pretty much taking, Jake's pretty much trying to go on a suicide mission. But hey, there's a way that we can, get our kingdom back. There's a way that we can, be on top. But it goes back to our power, YAHAWASHI. You can't do it without your power. Okay, it's like trying to plug up a toaster, but there is no electricity going to the house. Okay, no matter what you do, that toaster is not going to work. It says, when you follow the money, you realize it is a white man's industry, right? Absolutely. Okay, and Leo Colin right here in the middle by my, well, you can't see my finger so out here, but this guy at the bottom middle, he had a Breakfast Club interview where he said they was like kind of questioning him about that, and he said, I gotta make money, man, I gotta make money, you know. But that's the point. I ain't make it too long. Shalom, Kwame Sharala, Abba Ball.